Hello, I'm Ryan Eggold, and welcome to Facebook Live. I'm going to do some questions here from you guys, right? From friends, family, fans, everybody at home, about this movie that I've got coming out called Literally Right Before Aaron that opens today. It's my first movie, and I hope you see it, and I hope you like it. All right, let's do some questions here. The first one, there's no like from Susan in Cincinnati. I was hoping for that. How did you get the idea for the movie? Is it based on personal experience? Is it autobiographical? Well, that's a very good question, Allison from Minnesota. I don't know if that's who it's from, but I got the idea for the movie, yes, indeed, from my own life. It is semi-autobiographical. It's not full-on autobiographical. I never went to any wedding of an ex-girlfriend, which is the plot of the film, if you don't know. Because that would be a disaster. But yeah, I was dealing with some things, going through some stuff, dating a young lady many years ago. Things did not work out, and amidst that breakup, there was thoughts of marriage, foreverness, the one, this sort of idealizing that we do of people, and I was just sort of thinking about whether or not we fall in love with the idea of someone or an actual person, or whether or not we're sort of trying to, find someone to fit that thing that we've created. So, anyways, wrote a couple scenes, wrote a short, made a short film, and then people liked it. People told me that they had been to exes' weddings, or that they could relate, that they had felt some of the things that Adam, who's the protagonist, was feeling, so I thought we should do the whole thing. So we did. All right. Maybe that's too long. I don't know. People just fell asleep for that answer. You've been an actor for most of your career. Why did you decide to switch to writing and directing? I think writing and directing and acting is all kind of parts of the same beast. As an actor, you're reading tons of scripts all the time, whether you work on them or not, and sometimes you're lucky enough to work on them, and then you're trying to digest the material further and interpret it and make choices about it. And I think all that sort of critical thinking about scripts is helpful in a kind of unconscious way, and then when you sit down to write, you've experienced hopefully good writing and bad writing, and kind of picked up some of the differences, and what feels more like life and what feels more like phony writing, and so I think that's helpful. And then directing, I think being an actor is helpful for that too, just because you know what the actors that you're trying to direct are going through, and you hopefully have a better eye for again what feels honest and truthful, and what feels melodramatic or forced or phony, so you can try to sort of help guide folks. But it's so much fun. They are different jobs though too. It's a lot of work directing, but really, really fun too. I hope I get to do it again. I'm writing something new, so we'll talk about that later. How did your musical background influence this project? I ended up writing some music for this movie, composed a couple pieces, and then brought in some incredible musicians to help fill it out, to provide cello and viola and all these beautiful additional parts that really filled it out and made it what it was. I worked with a guy named David Lawrence Goldman, who's a great music producer here in New York, and a friend, and we just sat in his room making music and writing stuff. I'd write some pieces at home on the piano and bring them in, and it was really, really a fun process. And when you get the right piece of music into the movie, it's the best feeling, because it feels like it was always there. And when you have the wrong piece of music in, it's a disaster. It's not fun. What is a funny story you can share on set? This is the time that we almost killed Justin Long. We almost killed Justin Long. And we're pretty proud of that. And we're the only movie to accomplish that. We had a day where we were struggling to find a location. We finally found it, and it was kind of a warehouse type place, and it was like 104. or 108. I can't even believe that. Is that true?
It is.
It was disgustingly hot in Los Angeles, and there was no air conditioning. There was a lot of actors and a lot of people, a lot of crew, a lot of people crammed into this place, and we were just deeply unprepared for 108, and we were just in an oven, and it was a sweat lodge to the max. And you know, we've got people are moving lights and equipment and cameras, and it was bad. And Justin like almost fainted, I think, and I don't blame him because he was doing most of the work. You know, he was in every scene, every second, and he was working a lot. And God, it was hot. And then I think Kobe, and Justin got everybody an ice cream truck that day, which was awesome. So it ended with ice cream, so it did have a happy ending. What was one of the hardest things about working behind the camera? Obviously, there's so many challenges. I'm trying to think of what was one of the hardest things. I mean, you know, one of the hardest things about working behind the camera is just trying to be cognizant of a million things at once and remember to balance all that, but at the same time try to sort of find the peace of mind to focus and just watch a scene and make sure it's happening the way it should. So trying to keep, you know, 50 things juggling in your head while trying to simplify and think about just one thing in for the moment, one scene, one line, one performance, one shot, whatever it may be. That was really challenging to do that. What is your favorite scene in the movie? I have a number of favorite scenes in the movie. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased, but one of my favorite scenes is the scene when Justin and Kobe, who play Adam and Allison, meet for the first time. Just because it's so sort of hopeful and there's so much promise, but it's kind of awkward and funny and sort of strange and familiar, and it just feels like one of the more real moments in the film for me. And that scene's shot on 16mm film, which was really fun to shoot on film. And we were in this library. It was really cool to shoot there. At where? At Northridge? Where were we? Cal State? What was that? Marcus is Pasadena? Somewhere. A beautiful school. I can't remember now. I feel bad. We need Marcus here. Anyways, that's a great scene. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. What was the hardest scene to write or direct? Easily, the ending was the hardest thing to write because I wrote 500 versions of it and they all sucked, except maybe for one, which is the one that we landed on. And even when we were filming in production, we ended up changing the ending mid shoot, basically by truncating what was there. There was a longer ending written, and then we just thought, what if it ends, you know, a few moments earlier, and we leave it in this place. And yeah, that's hard to get right because you're trying to sort of button everything up and say everything you want to say and get it all done, but by the same token, you're not trying to put a pretty little ribbon on it and spoon feed everything and leave some room for ambiguity and all that stuff. So that was tough. And directing wise, I think one of the hardest scenes to direct. Well, again, the day that we were all sweating and dying, that was physically a challenge to direct because I thought I was going to die as well. We were just like chugging water, running outside, and just grabbing ice and like throwing it. Yeah, and just like swiping, you know, giant sweat off, and just being like, "Can we get more ice? Can we get more water?" It was really bad. So that was tricky. But also, there's a scene that takes place in a bathroom. I can say that, right? That doesn't reveal anything. That was a hard scene to direct because that was a hard scene to act, I'm sure. But Justin and Kobe did an incredible job. But you'll see in the film if you see it, and I really hope you do. It's things kind of come to a head. It's a lot. It was a very challenging scene. What movies influenced you while making this film? That's a great question. A ton. The Graduate, obviously, I'll say first and foremost. Just Mike Nichols was a big influence. The way he handles his protagonist, the sort of stuck quality to that character, and the sort of paralysis of indecision that Dustin Hoffman has, and the way he goes through that film was very much an influence. And his struggle to interact socially with people around him and feeling like an outsider and all those things, being overwhelmed by the future, all that stuff was a big influence. Another Mike Nichols film is called Carnal Knowledge. That was a big influence. My DP, Seamus Tierney, actually turned me on to that film. It was a very talented DP. And that movie is kind of about two guys and a girl, love story, but it's also about, it takes place over their whole lives and how their ideas about love changes and how their ideas of what kind of relationship they want to be in changes, and that was very, very interesting. Woody Allen, obviously, all of his stuff. Manhattan is one of my favorite movies ever. I love the photography, and I love my favorite opening and my favorite ending to any movie is in Manhattan. It's the best. Some great dialogue, really fun, sort of honest, romantic connection. A ton of stuff. Nora Ephron's work was a huge influence. She's phenomenal. And I read some books of hers, just the way that she thinks about relationships is really interesting. Rob Reiner's work, When Harry Met Sally, all those guys. Albert Brooks, a lot of people. I could go on forever. What was the most important thing you learned during this experience? What was the most important thing I learned during this experience?
I'd like to know too.
What?
I'd like to know too.
That Cassandra Koulikoundas is an amazing woman. That she's a great woman. That's what I learned. She's my producer, and she's right here, so I have to say that. There's nothing I can do. No, I honestly, I learned a million things, and I cannot wait to make a movie again, because by the end of this movie, being my first time stumbling through behind the camera, I just was so ready to start the process and had learned a million things. And, I don't know where to begin. At the end of the day, you're kind of responsible for a large crew and cast of people. You're managing a large group of people and trying to coalesce everybody into one vision, which is a really hard thing to do, and trying to get everybody to think, kind of similarly and work similarly. And, I learned a lot about collaboration. I mean, so many people brought so many great things to this project that I hadn't seen or hadn't thought about, or made it better in so many ways. So I'm thankful for that. You got to learn to be open to be wrong, to be open to other people's ideas, be open to change things. Not be precious about your material. What else? Stuff like that, I guess. Things of that nature. All right, how we doing? We good? One more. What was the biggest obstacle you encountered while making this film? What was the biggest obstacle that I encountered while making this film? I guess what I was saying earlier, I sort of had a naivete of I would get to show up to set and translate my imagination into reality without any, just magically, this is how I see it, print it. And it certainly doesn't work that way. You got to worry about where the trucks are parked and all these different things that is very difficult. So yeah, I think again that what I was saying before about juggling different things in your head while trying to focus. I think the biggest challenge is trying to manage a production and trying to keep everything going and trying to be cognizant of where the camera is, where the lights are, what the actors are doing, what the production design is, what's happening, all that stuff. But trying to forget all of it at a certain point and trying to just say, does this feel right? Does this feel good? And does it feel funny? Or does it feel sad? Or does it feel whatever this moment needs? Does it feel truthful? Does it feel do I am I connecting with this? Am I engaged? Am I really listening, or am I just kind of sitting back and watching? So yeah, that's the hardest part. But it's a joy. Everyone should do it. It's really fun. Just go get millions and millions of dollars and grab a camera. It's so easy, right? Making movies is so easy. And you don't need millions of dollars. You can do it for less. Sean Baker made that movie Tangerine on his iPhone, and it's incredible. And he's got a new movie coming out too, which looks amazing. So see that one. But before you see that one, before you see Sean Baker's new film, which looks amazing, has Willem Dafoe in it, see my new movie, which is called Literally Right Before Aaron. It's got Justin Long, Kobe Smulders, John Cho, Ryan Hansen, Louis Guzman, Peter Gallagher, Kristen Shaw, Dana Delaney, Leah Thompson, Malcolm Barrett, Brigitte Heelan, Charlotte McKinney, Charlene Yee, two Chars, Charlene and Charlotte. Anybody else?
Yes.
Anybody?
There's tons.
Who else? Right? There's other people. There's other people in it, I guess, and they're good too. Sorry. I should not have been the one to do this. I should not have been the one to sell this movie. Were Justin and Kobe not available? Why am I doing this? It's a disaster. I promise it's good. I'm not in the movie, if that makes you feel any better. There's really terrific actors that are in it that are very funny and smart and good. And I don't bog it down.
You auditioned though.
I did not. I wrote every damn part. I did think about playing the female lead with a wig, but in the end, we thought Kobe Smulders was a better choice, and so she did it, and she did it very well. Yeah, I guess that's it, right? We did it. See you next time. This was fun. Thanks to Facebook Live, and see you guys.